How, you ask, are they up to the task? To which the answer isn't a simple facility. A few official-looking Pegasi walked in on the scaffolding and turned to look down on the group with disgust. One of them stood onto a small podium set up in the center and began speaking loudly and clearly. By now, you've all clearly determined that you are not going into exile. There's no deportation. There never was. And you are in the factory. You will never leave the factory, and you may be called useless. That's also not entirely true. You're worthless to the flock as a pony, but you still have purpose. Purpose to all the ponies in this land, far and wide. You get to help us make rainbows. Beautiful, magical rainbows. Doesn't that excite you? The mysterious announcer grinned ecstatically, taking in all the disgusted looks from every foal on the floor below him. I thought so. It is just such an honor, you know. It leaves every pony entrusted with their task speechless, too. Now do we have any volunteers? Again, every pony below glared with hate. One brave pony, a light pink one from Levitating Acres, walked forward a few steps and yelled, "How could you even ever get away with this? How could Celestia or even Luna know about this and tolerate it? It's slavery. It's torture." I think you'll find it's more than that. A second official pony walked out of the shadows and up to the podium. The pony was in a suit and masked. The first pony walked off the podium and allowed the second to talk. Skulu noticed that it was the rose-eyed pony from before. She watched more intently now. The voice was familiar. 1,000 years ago, when Celestia banished Luna from Equestria and sent her to the moon, she was charged with 3 tasks. She originally was in charge of raising the sun and showering the land with rainbows. But with the moon being an additional task, she had to hand down the responsibility of rainbows. Celestia entrusted the Pegasi of Cloudsdale to make the rainbows for her. From then on, for the first dozen years, we were given powerful unicorns to help create Spectra. Spectra is pure pigment, pure color. Everything is full of spectra, but you can't just harvest it. You can never separate color from an object. So it was made artificially with magic. The Mass Pony never took her eyes off the brave pink one. That is, until our top engineers made a breakthrough. They discovered an ingenious way to extract pigment. It was so beautiful. Even a simple machine could do it. But it couldn't be done with just anything. The condition had to be right. What did those horrible people do? The pink Pegasus screamed, growing angry by the minute. The mysterious pony whipped her mask up. Whipped off her mask. Goddamn. Unveiling more than her rose eyes. Her skin was a light cyan, and her mane was a gorgeous rainbow. Several of the fillies gasped. Skulu's knees weakened as it hit her. It was Rainbow Dash. Skulu's thoughts raced through her mind, and the room started spinning. It couldn't be. An evil twin, maybe. Perhaps some neglected sister? Rainbow Dash couldn't be this evil. She was her friend, her mentor, her only family. Even if not by blood. How? How? How was all that she could think? It had to be live ponies. Only in ponies where magic and spectra can ran freely together. Rainbow Dash threw her head back and laughed maniacally. Only then could the spectra be separated, and it was such a beautiful idea, such a wonderful, horrible idea. It worked so well. We could create exponentially more rainbows of better quality with real spectra, and it finally gave us a way to prevent Kazuya from being tainted by all those horrible Pegasus which couldn't fly. Skulu couldn't take it. While all the other ponies were exclaiming their disgust and fear, running and screaming for where they came in, backing off as suited ponies surrounded them and herded them back into the center of the floor. Skulu couldn't take it anymore. "I thought you loved me!" she wailed, cutting Rainbow Dash's laughter off. "Huh?" She turned and noticed the amber-orange Pegasus. "I thought you loved me. How could you do this to me? I thought you cared for me. After all the help, all my life. You've treated me like a little sister. I treated you like my big sister. You were my big sister, too, to me. God damn it. You were the only family I've ever had, and you knew it. Tears were pouring down her face now, obscuring her vision again. Her throat hurt from crying and shouting, but she couldn't stop. After everything, you're just going to let me die? I tried so hard for you. She stared at the floor. Everyone was silent. Then Scootaloo looked up slowly. While she couldn't see for the sadness in her eyes, she looked right at Rainbow Dash, straight in those eyes, past them and deep into Rainbow Dash herself. I thought you loved me. Rainbow Dash returned the look. Her eyes revealed no emotion, no love, no care, only apathy. Slowly, however, they glared at Scootaloo. Pure, seething hate erupted from Rainbow Dash's mouth as she screamed in return. I did love you. I tried so hard for you. I taught you everything I knew, in hopes you would pass your test. You had it in you, kid. I knew. I knew what they did here. Ever since I performed the Sonic Rainbow and they approached me. They wanted to find more ways to make Spectrum. They thought that if I was capable of making rainbows, I could help them make its components. Well, they couldn't. But I learned a lot about this place. I'm the manager here now, you know. I worked my way up in secret, pretending to only be simple weather control. How do you think I could afford that massive house over Ponyville? How do you? She trailed, shaking her head, remembering her anger suddenly. I tried, all right. It was up to you to save yourself. You didn't just fail yourself. You didn't just fail Cloudsdale. You failed me. You failed me. And that's the worst thing you could have done. You aren't just dead, Cloudsdale, now. You're dead to me. The room tilted as Scootaloo tried to comprehend what she was told. Her mind broke as she was totally unable to focus on anything. She stumbled slightly until Orion held open a wing, and she clung to it for stability. Rainbow Dash noticed this and pointed and yelled with more fury. You can't have happiness. You ruined me. Now I'll ruin you. Workers! The brown one, there. Him first. No! Scootaloo, Aurora, and Orion all jumped. Suited ponies cornered Orion, pushing the other two to the side. He tried to leap out of the way to run, but one of the stallions spun around and kicked at him, the hoof connected to his shoulder, and Orion collapsed with a shout. Get back! More suits yelled at Aurora and Scootaloo as they dragged bring Orion to the front of the room. The giant machine at the back started humming to life, and the assembly of chains lifted up off the top and moved towards the floor. Everyone noticed they were shackles now, and the suits clasped Orion into them. Braving to look up, he turned to Scootaloo. Don't worry, Scoots. I love you. Goodbye. Goodbye, Orion. Scootaloo gasped. I love you too. With that, the chains pulled tight and lifted the brown Pegasus all the way up to the gears. The chains grew taut and stretched each of Orion's limbs straight up and down. We find the machine works better if the ribs are broken, Rainbow Dash explained apathetically as the chains spun around in opposite directions, twisting Orion. His screams almost covered the echoing pops and shattering noises. One or two jagged bones tore through his side, and his yells faded to a slow, quiet rattle of breath. The chains untwisted, and then the shackles opened, dropping the shattered pony into the single opening. With horror, Scootaloo watched, her brain overcome with what was happening. Detached from all emotion, she noticed that the top of the machine wasn't rusted. It was blood. Blood, just like what was being tossed up from the mangled remains of Orion. As the rest of his body was swallowed into the great machine, finishing with one lone hoof directed straight up, and then nothing was left. As the hoses over the green and red vats of Spectrum started spewing their brilliant colors, Scootaloo's vision started to fade. The last thing she noticed was Aurora's concerned, broken voice, saying her name. The Scootaloo flopped to the side.